The Witch Chronicles. The Expedition. Written by Desmond Lynch.
Careful, careful! This vase is 2,000 years old. What you're holding in your hand dates back to the 17th emperor of the Faustian dynasty. You know how much this is worth? Apparently not. This is what I get for hiring foreign workers. Honestly, the rate of this expedition, I wouldn't be surprised if we were eaten alive by nightfall. No, I suppose they're not as bad as the savages in the Waste, but barely. They were once men, you know. Over 1,000 years ago, a great civilization ruled over Teramor. The mightiest force that man had ever known. The Faust dynasty. These people achieved such technological wonders, never to be seen again. Fresh water could appear in every home, like that. Lights could be lit all night, and not a single bit of wax, nor oil, nor flame itself will be needed. There are even legends that say they even mastered the gift of flight, but those are just so, speculation. But more still, they had the means, magical or otherwise, to preserve life, bring a man back from the brink of death to the peak of physical health. Life grasped from the claws of death. That's what they were capable of. But my funders care not for these miracles. No, they rather I scourge the tombs of the Waste, digging up coins and swords and other scrap. If I wanted to do this with my life, I'd have stayed in the goddamn Gold Coast. Storm is coming. The dead will soon be upon us. Oh, they hadn't told you? There's worse things in the Waste than these mutants, my boy. 1,000 years ago, it is said that the Faust dynasty had reached the peak of their power. Its reach expanded the whole of Teramor, but they yearned for more. For the stars, for what lies below, nothing would be beyond their reach. And so they began to dig in the great mountains of Tekayun, on the edge of the world. But they dug too deep, found something they didn't even understand, and even in their great wisdom and power, they made a mistake that led to their downfall. They interfered with a great power, and that power overwhelmed them, and all of Teramor. Soon, the continent was overwhelmed by this great surge of arcane power. The skies turned dark and red, thunder and lightning fell from the sky as the gods battled or was unleashed. And in their wake, the Faust dynasty was no more. The continent was plunged back into the Dark Ages, split apart by Arcana wrought, the Calamity. The land of the East struggled on, rebuilt itself after the Calamity. Since then, 5 empires have risen and fallen, and the land of Khazia has just crawled out of its cradle. A shadow of what it once was. The land of the West, however, became the Waste. Loomed in the shadow of Tekayun, cursed soil, poisoned air. All that did not die here changed. Skin grew hard and coarse, minds scrambled, they became more beasts than man. There are worse things that roam these cursed deserts. In the West, there are 2 beings vying for power. 2 kings of the dead. There is Necles Soon, not much is known of him. Some say he is the descendant of a Faustian emperor. Others claim him to be a religious leader. What is known of him is that he is a great being of tremendous power. It is said he has died 1,000,000 times and ascended from the grave alongside his army. All who live fear him, but none more than the mutants of the Resolve, the what we may call a semblance of civilization here in the Waste. City-states of savages piled together, all ruled over by one man, the Great Dorkau. A so-called God Emperor, a master of death. Not much is known of Dorkau, but he seeks knowledge. This in turn has put his armies against Negley soon. When his people die, he uses his great power to make them rise from the dead, forcing them to fight in his army, the Horde. However, his numbers dwindle, and while Negley Soon's army is seemingly infinite, Dorkau requires sacrifices. Every year, his people are led out to the Deadlands and killed, only to be arisen and to join the army of the dead. This is seen as a great honor among some, a horror to most. That's why so many mutants flee to the west, you see. They would rather die in Kazia than die in the Waste. What these two rulers vie for is power. Not just over land, but over Teramor itself. They seek to claim what the Faust dynasty could not handle. The secrets of Tekayun. However, this unholy war between the two has been going on for now nigh 1,000 years, with nary any end in sight. And so it must be. Gods help us if one of them win. The allure of knowledge is intoxicating. Gold, swords, pretty women, all of that goes away. Knowledge, to know it, to cultivate it, to share it among others, that builds a legacy. A legend that can stretch its reach across all time. Think of the people that have lived long before the word of Faust was ever uttered. Think of the people that dwell the end of eternity. We are all together in history. This story of ourselves that we repeat to ourselves. Like all stories, it loses focus now and again. The beats weaken and become more trivial. What is complicated is replaced by what is simple. What is ugly, replaced by what is beautiful. This life, it's hard. But nothing easy is worth doing. Nothing at all. I am not content with how I have missed so much. I am even less so in how I am going to miss what will soon pass. I will never live to see Kazia reclaim the Gold Coast, nor carry on descend into Avras. I will never witness the fall of Dorkau or Negley soon, and I may never know what lies in the ruins of Tekayun. Time is brief. All too brief. It's not fair to be born with so little understanding, then upon figuring it all out, have life snatched away from you like a toy from a child's hand. It's not fair. What was the point of all this? All these years sacrificed to the pursuit of knowledge, only to fade away into oblivion under petty generals and monstrous warlords and all sorts of undeserving people. How is that fair? No, it most certainly is not. In this tomb, we hope to find powers of knowledge that will allow us to further descend into the Waste. For these necklaces, gems that absorb the Arcana Rod, are valuable, but they are not nearly as potent enough as what we need to delve further west. No, I feel this excursion has already taken years off my life. The air is poisoning me, but it will all be worth it, my dear boy. For you see, once we find what we are looking for, the secrets of Tekayun, we mine alone. Swim is picking up. Everyone, further into the catacombs. Hide however you can. The sun will soon fall. The dead will rise to replace it. Come now, inside, inside. Not a moment to lose. Not a moment at all.